a model citizen indeed. Dakota North was born into the intelligence community. Her father, Samuel, was a CIA deputy director. Her mother, Caroline, was an NSA analyst. Both parents perished in a car bomb. Dakota, an aspiring model, was left to raise her brother, Rick, but not alone. Dakota raised Rick in a house shared with fellow models Aiko Miyazaki, Beverly Switzler, Chili Storm, Jill Gerald, Tony Turner, Jay Lind, and Lex Jansen, all of whom were signed to Walker Talent by runway legend Millie Collins. A natural talent, Millie cast Dakota alongside her niece Misty in the classic film Mall Girl. Afterward, Dakota modeled for music videos by the band Nightcat. While shooting the videos, she befriended lead singer Jacqueline Tavares. As if celebrity was not absurd enough, Dakota's life began intersecting with the fantastical. The surreal Howard the Duck, the vigilante Lady X, the psychic photographer Laura Mars, and finally, the slasher serial murders. It was Dakota who survived the slasher and eventually exposed his identity. Inspired, Dakota retired from the runway and opened a private eye firm. Specializing in celebrity clients and showbiz blackmail, Dakota North Investigations soon opened offices around the world. All the while, Dakota dodged book deals and biopic options. She simply refused to revisit her parents' unsolved murder. In particular, the night before. A night when her brother was sworn by their mother to never repeat a word on what he eavesdropped. Spoiler, he repeated that word to Dakota. Spiral.
Today is the day when rainbows will point the way to where I can be me. Can you tell me how to get to Danny the street? It's a magic pavement ride to where every door opens wide for people like me. Can you tell me how to get to Danny the street? Friendly neighbors who see a chance to welcome a refugee like me. Can you tell me how to get to Danny the street? 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 Today is the day. My body is asleep, but my mind is awake, listening for a soul of anthems I've heard before from a singing corpse, dancing alone in the morgue. We are nocturnal. I'm a dancing corpse, singing alone in the morgue. We are nocturnals, we celebrate envy. We thrive on what you write, we survive the end of night. We are unafraid of the dawn, we are unafraid of the dawn. In homes we are your screams, in songs we are your teens. We are not ignored anymore. We are not ignored anymore. Oh, we are nocturnals, we celebrate envy. We thrive on what you write, we survive the end of night. We are not alone for the dawn, we are not alone for the dawn. Not alone anymore. Not alone anymore. We are not alone anymore. We are not alone anymore.
Tempest Key. The beach remains closed. Locals have heard of half-eaten corpses washing ashore. Others have heard of sea monsters coming ashore during the night. Are these accounts actual sightings of apocalyptian exiles? Or are these accounts even sightings at all? What is known is that Chief Liza Warner has covertly set sail for deeper waters to net herself the truth. Colin Nomi was an infamous drug artist whose indulgent work scandalized the Opal City neighborhood of New Paris. His works involved scented paints whose fragrances elicited euphoric hallucinations. When an accusation claimed his work inspired a teen suicide, Colin was cancelled. Depressed, he divorced his throuple and wandered America. Homeless in Gateway City, Colin was rescued by the Indigo Children, an artist cult. During initiation, Colin was bathed in the light of the Indigo Lantern. Blinded by the light, Colin could conjure his dreams and nightmares into reality. Then the cult was assassinated by paladins dispatched by the Bureau of Normalcy. The paladins were following a tip from Mr. Nobody, guru of the Brotherhood of Dada. Colin escaped utilizing his newly granted ESP. Colin always enjoyed defying his worst critics, and so he rebranded himself as Neon, the Unknown. Kyle Richmond was only a boy when he witnessed his parents being arrested for the scandalous Manor murders. With the Richmond name disgraced, Kyle grew up a high society pariah. Headlines dubbed him the poor little rich boy. His parents were supposed to be paragons of moral guidance. Upon adulthood, Kyle witnessed his parents' double execution. He dedicated his life to exposing the elite and avenging the vulnerable. Inspired by dreams of a shadowy bird, Kyle became the Nighthawk. Afterward, he discovered his parents were patrons of the Bureau of Normalcy. Hippolyta, the Queen of Ruins. That was until she heard whispers on the nightly winds, whispers of inspiration, of newfound purpose, of endless new horizons. And so, the Amazons settled in the rebuilt Gateway City, where they were welcomed. Following the opening of her embassy, Hippolyta established a school. It became a place where homeless and stateless girls and women could improve their lives. Recently, the school has come under fire by politicians who accuse Hippolyta of grooming and indoctrination. The Bureau of Normalcy approves those messages. Patsy Walker is no ordinary former child star. Burnout from tweeny channel roles, she suffered a nervous breakdown. Afterward, her conniving mother exploited her conservatorship. Patsy was forced to transition into adult roles via erotic thrillers, bad girl parts, and fallen woman roles, all of which lacked intimacy coordinators. Patient, she waited for her moment. While coerced into opening a racy OnlyFans, Patsy uploaded clues of her plight. She even delivered calls for help inside her cat's collar. Once freed, she wrote a best-selling tell-all about her exploitation in YA novels, stage, comics, TV, music, film, and social media. Retiring from showbiz, Patsy reinvented herself as a podcaster. Following the Apocalypse War, the podcast, Trish Talk, became a platform for the stateless. Of course, her show was blacklisted by the Bureau of Normalcy. Eventually, Patsy fell in love with a frequent guest, supernatural detective Damon Hellstrom. While on an adventurous tryst, they rescued a witch coven from a DEO black site. Thankful, Hecate, goddess of witchcraft, marked Patsy as her familiar, the Hellcat. Derek James was caught in the shockwave of a vibranium grenade during the Apocalypse War. The vibrations in and out of the mortal sphere altered Derek's existential attunement. Able to teleport through the dark force dimension, Derek escaped an abusive foster home to squat in the Stanville Library. Befriended by nerdy bibliophile Ernestine, Derek was advised to monetize his new talent on social media. Now called Sideways, Derek's travelogue has elicited clapbacks from the Bureau of Normalcy. Together, these heroes often cross paths to become defenders of the weird. History is written in the blood of society's most disposable people. Robert Todd knows this well. Poor and desperate for prenatal care, his mother thought she found a doctor worth trusting. That doctor, Benjamin Love, was an agent of Project Helix, funded by the Department of Extranormal Operations. Love's purpose was to create invisible assets. However, as with any experimental process, failures were common. Robert was born with a normal appearance. Sadly, as Robert grew up, his soft tissues went from opaque to translucent to finally transparent. Todd was approached by a man whose uncanny resemblance was that of Ace Harlem. He was given documents that proved the liability of the DEO. Those documents were then published in the Globe Leader. During federal testimony, Todd was asked for his recommendation on the fate of the DEO. Shockingly, Todd recommended that those harmed by the department become the ones controlling it. The left saw an opportunity to empower the victims, while the right saw an opportunity to discredit their criticisms. And so, Robert Todd became Mr. Bones. But which side would be proven correct? Neither. Resembling a living skeleton, Bones is seen as neither victim nor disposable. He is seen as fear itself. Bones believes he can write a new history, one written in the blood of society's elites. Will Agent Cameron Chase also believe? It is the only jailed nation on Earth. It is all that remains of a global superpower. It is Durain. In preparation for Darkseid and Lady Loki's wedding invasion of the multiverse, Steppenwolf vetted collaborators. He found the perfect beachhead in the USSR. During the ensuing Apocalypse War, Steppenwolf endured Earth-2's resistance far longer than Darkseid on Earth-0. For the embarrassment he inflicted on Darkseid, Steppenwolf was forsaken. Without resupply from Apocalypse, Moscow was incinerated by a rogue fire pit ignited by Terry Sloan. With the USSR conquered and divided by the surviving powers for corporate governance, Steppenwolf's forces retreated into the Soviet Caucasus, where they founded the rump state of Durain. You would think the surviving powers would have invaded. Well, you would think wrong. The Soviets were not Steppenwolf's only collaborators, dear reader. It is feared by those collaborators that evidence of their duplicity will leak if Durain is invaded. And so, the World Army maintains constant vigil on Durain's border, the sole fortified border in the world. And what happens inside Durain? That's top secret, dear reader. Top secret. Who wants to live forever? Zaragoza, 823 AD. A cloaked figure enters the shop of a talented metallurgist. He speaks Aragonese with a Moorish accent. The cloaked man then produces a curious ore smuggled from Misr. It is an ore known in many a myth and legend: ether, umbungi, akasa, sunya, koni, tincture, void, quintessence. This specific ore is said to endow immortality. Having once been a student of Jabir ibn Hayyan, the metallurgist is intrigued. The cloaked figure then lowers his hood. He is Abd ar-Rahman II, and he has come to consult Esteban Corazon de Ablo. Relocated to the newly built Murcia, Esteban extracts the metal. He experiments. He mixes the mineral into an elixir. When ingested, Esteban observes his sense of time is distorted, his health renewed, and his visage rejuvenated. Alas, politics and war intrude. Agents loyal to Alfonso II of Asturias trespass to assassinate Esteban. Fortunately, the alchemist is spared when his would-be assassins are dispatched by a woman in a golden mask. The woman spirits Esteban away. Centuries pass. Esteban finagles fraudulent deals in exchange for more of the metal. In many an urban myth and legend, he is known as Diablo. His savior, now known as Lady Lillian von Lunt, is rumored to be a witch. They collect 9 additional alchemical metals. With her collection complete, Lillian unmasks. She is Morgan Le Fay and intends to detonate an alchemical bomb to erase Camelot from the multiverse, and she has no further use for Esteban. Vengeful, Esteban crafts minions from what traces of creation metal are left to him, the Masters of Alchemy. 1912, the South Pacific. An unnamed and unremarkable island quakes. A cave closed eons ago reopens. A pocket dimension is exposed to the world. Out pours descendants of prehistoric beasts. Isolated near Point Nemo, the island went unexplored until 1927. That was when the retired enemy ace crash-landed just off the coast. Miraculously, he survived the next 30 years until rescued by the adventure team known as the Suicide Squad. Later, tourist trapper Murray Wilson claimed the island as a safari park. He even bought a cruise firm, the Penny Steamship Lines, to traffic tourists to Dinosaur Island. However, Wilson disappeared. His outrageous claims went unverified, and not even Captain Compass, the high seas Sherlock, could solve the case. Seems like someone cast some shade over the whole affair.